Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Leon Klempner. I'm the CEO of People in Practice, and I want to thank you for taking the time out on a busy day in order to spend a little time with me. I see we have over 500 practices that are logging on, so I'm going to give them another 30 seconds to get on. In the meantime, I have to tell you that I've given a lot of lectures and I've done a few webinars, but giving a webinar is really weird. I'm sitting here in my den talking to nobody, not having any idea of what you look like or where you are. And I have my two cats here, Tommy and Andy, that are staring at me and thinking that I might be losing it. So in any event, we're going to spend the next 45 minutes or so talking about a topic that is very dear to me and I think very important to you. We're going to go over some details. This is going to be a meat and potatoes lecture. I'm going to provide you all the pieces that are necessary to have an effective orthodontic social marketing strategy. And we'll touch a little bit about why maybe the strategy you're currently using may not be effective. Now, I've been in your shoes on the other end of a webinar, and I know that it's not easy to take down a lot of information. So rather than you trying to scribble down everything that I say and miss some of the things that I'm going to say, or try to take some screenshots of my slides, I'm going to provide you with the key PowerPoint slides that I'm going to show you, as well as some notes and some marketing ideas, plus some of the things that we may not be able to cover. Basically, let's take out your cell phone or your tablet and just text the word Excelident to 66866. I think we have the capacity to handle the first 500 texts. So I will provide you all of the notes so you don't have to take notes. So again, just text the word Excelident to 66866. So as I said, my name is Dr. Klempner. I am one of you. I'm an orthodontist. I went to the University of Maryland Dental School, graduated there in 1975. Then I went to Tufts under the chairmanship of Dr. Everett Shapiro. I graduated in 1977, spent a year associating in Boston, and then opened up my first practice on Long Island. In the end of 2015, after 38 years, I sold both practices in order to go full-time with People in Practice. I started People in Practice with my partner, Amy, in 2011. We currently have over 50 offices as clients, and we primarily focus on orthodontists. So let me ask you this question. What do you really want? And I ask this question because I get calls every single week from orthodontists, and when I ask that question, they say they want the phone to ring. They want more new patients. They want more activity. And I'll challenge that with, is that really what you want? Do you really want a lot of people coming through your office and not accepting your treatment? Do you want your TCs to be spending an hour taking photos, x-rays, going through a treatment plan, going through financial arrangements, and have people just walk out the door, let you know, I'll call you back, I'll think about it, I want to get a second opinion, etc.? I would propose that isn't what you really want. And if you're like me, what I really did want was I wanted more people coming to my office that were ready to get going, that knew about my practice and wanted to be part of it. They were ready to accept the treatment plan. They were educated before they came in the door. And I wanted families that had siblings to treat their kids, their siblings with me. I didn't want just the first child. I wanted the younger brother and the younger sister. That's called loyalty. And today we're going to talk about how we do that, looking for quality of new patients rather than quantity of new patients. For those of you that are on this webinar that are looking just for new patients, just to get the phone to ring, don't really care about the quality of calls, let me just give you some tips right now and save you 40 minutes of listening to me talk. If that's what you want, here's what you do. Lower your fees, offer a lot of coupons, sign up for all the PPOs, and take all the state aid. You do all those things, your phone will be ringing off the hook. You can see 150 patients a day, be busy as you want. So, but if that's not what you want, if you want more quality rather than quantity, then you're in the right place. So how do we do it? Well, it's not easy to do. It's not a quick fix. However, the goal is to change the narrative about your practice so that new perspective in current patients know that you're worth it, that you're worth paying for. That's the key. What's happening in our orthodontic business environment is that your patients have to make decisions about costs and affordability, and they are going to question whether you're worth the difference, because there's always going to be cheaper alternatives. So patients are going to have to feel in their own mind that you're justified in choosing your practice because you're worth it. And we have to make you worth it. So how does that happen? Well, we have to focus on the right people, number one, and then we have to educate them about the differences between your practice and the other practices. That's so critical. Because in the end, what we want is we want new calls from the right people. And we want our current patients to become influencers to refer to us. This is the gold in your practice, your current patients. We need to activate them, and we need to get them talking about your practice and referring people to your practice. The credibility rating of one of your patients saying something positive about you and recommending you to a friend or a Facebook friend, for that matter, either online or in person, is about 91%. I mean, that is a phenomenal confidence builder. And thirdly, and this is one that I think most orthodontists don't really understand, but I do want to spend a minute on it, is we want to build strong brand equity. And what am I talking about, brand equity? Well, Fortune 500 companies spend millions of dollars building brand equity. It's so vital to their business. And it's the same with our ortho practices. If you want to compete, you need to have a strong brand in your community. And that brand has to stand for worth the extra money. And when you develop that brand, you're able to attract associates, you're able to attract potential buyers. You have something at the end of the game. It's also appealing to high caliber staff. I mean, quality staff members want to work for quality practices. It enhances your practice. It makes it much easier to bring in new patients when you have a brand. But I think most importantly, at the end of the day, you need to have something to sell. And brand equity creates that for you. So let's talk a little bit about where we are right now. What's going on and what are we going to do about it? I don't know about you, but when I was in practice, this is how I felt. I felt squeezed. And that squeeze was coming from a number of different places. I felt squeezed from the bottom up, meaning my overhead. The technology costs that are required now to run a quality, state-of-the-art orthodontic practice is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's digital everything. Not only do you need digital radiography, you need a digital scanner, IT costs, the capital equipment. All of these are increasing and increasing as time goes by, as well as staff. Let me tell you a little bit about staff compensation. Good staff members are worth every penny. You can't skimp on paying staff what they're worth. You need to find quality staff members, and they need to be compensated well. But when you put it all together, the overhead starts increasing, and it's becoming more difficult and difficult. But not only are we being squeezed from the bottom up, we're getting squeezed from the top down. We're getting pressure to lower our fees. There's more competition in our community. There's more second opinions. There's more undercutting of fees. There's more insurance involvement. Now, I know that you need to have some involvement with insurance, but you also need to keep an eye on the private pay patients. You can't be totally dependent on insurance. And insurance companies aren't increasing their compensation rates to dentists. As time goes by, they're either level or in some areas they're decreasing. So again, more pressure on us in terms of our compensation and our fees and our bottom line. And then you see I have highlighted retail dentistry. This is the big elephant in the room. They're called DSOs, dental service organizations, dental support organizations, whatever you want to call them. They are large group practices that are growing at a rapid rate and that are taking market share away from private practitioners. And let's be really clear about what their goal is. From a marketing perspective, they're spending millions and millions of dollars, and their goal is to make orthodontics a commodity. In other words, braces are braces are braces. It doesn't really matter where you go, you're going to get the same thing. And that is, number one, not true, and number two, important for us to combat. And when the public or when your prospective patients come to believe that orthodontics is a commodity, then the only thing that matters to them are price and convenience. And I can tell you, you can't compete against them on the basis of price or convenience. So what do? Well, we have to differentiate. And here, remember this is important. The antidote to commoditization is differentiation. Differentiation. You need to be special. You need to be different. There needs to be a reason for people to pay a little bit more for you. And that could be done in a number of different ways. And when we work with practices, that's part of our goal, is to see what is it about your practice that is special. And it's going to be different for everybody. Now, Excellident is a great way to differentiate your practice. Becoming the speed doctor or the office that gets treatment done in the shortest amount of time, that's a big plus. That's a differentiator that people can appreciate. But there are other ways. Clinical expertise. You could be known as the practice that gets the best result. Or you practice personality. You could be the fun practice where children that have special needs, for example, or children that are shy, this would be a special place for them. Having good staff and good customer service. You know, it's so easy now to differentiate your practice on customer service because it's so rare in our everyday lives. Just think about it. You go to a store, you go to the bank, you go anywhere, you go to the supermarket. I was in the supermarket or Price Club or Home Depot. You know, how many times have you wandered around in Home Depot? I was just in the supermarket, you know, picking up a few things, and I was down like 10 different aisles, up and down, looking for one or two things, and there was nobody around to help me at all. I had to go up to the service area to tell me what to do for each of the items. Meanwhile, my wife, who knows the store, will go in there almost like a military mission, and in 2 seconds come up with everything that she needs, and she's out. But it's rare to find customer service these days, and if your practice could be known for that, that's a good way to differentiate your practice. Now, on top of all of these things, we're dealing with a model in orthodontics that's changing. What's happening now is we've moved from, in marketing, what we call a business-to-business model to a business-to-consumer model. Now, a business-to-business model is one where the orthodontist or the specialist caters to the general dentist. And then the general dentist opens up the floodgates to the patients. So the specialist doesn't have to deal directly with the patients. They just need to keep the dentist happy, and then the dentist sends the patients. That's the model that I grew up with in orthodontics, but over the last 10 or 15 years has slowly been changing, and now it's changed very, very rapidly. So as business people, we need to understand that orthodontics is in the business to consumer model. Not to say that we ignore the dentists, because we want their referrals and we want to nurture that. But we can't rely on the dentists anymore. They're important to us, but that's not the only way that we get new patients. So, what do we do? Well, what we have to do is what every other business does. We have to look through the lens of our patients and determine what they see when they look at our practice. And is it worth it for them to pay the difference? We talk about getting more new patients, and for those new patients to become, for those of our patients to become ambassadors for our business and refer. But do we really understand what drives the decision-making of new patients? Well, that's what we're going to dive into right now. So put on your new patient glasses, and I want to take you out of the orthodontic role and put you into the new patient role. And let's view through the eyes of the patient. So, who are they? Well, they fall into 4 different groups. There are moms, there are adults, there are millennials, and there are teens. We basically have these 4 groups, and we'll separate them out for a reason, and we'll talk about them, and we'll try to get inside their head and see exactly what they're thinking. So, Jenny. Jenny's a mom. She's in her 40s. She has 2 kids. She works inside the home and outside of the home. What influences her decision? What's important to her? Well, she's going to do her research, because she does her research on everything else. And she's going to value other moms' opinions. I don't know if many of you are aware, but throughout the online community, there are moms groups everywhere. And moms groups are private groups of moms that talk to one another candidly about purchasing decisions. And orthodontics is one of the topics that frequently come up. So what people are saying about you really matters for moms. And there are important considerations we have to take to cover. Now, she also cares about affordability and convenience, just like most new patients will. But she also relies on her gut feeling about things. So let's see how we can appeal to her. By the way, we talked about affordability and convenience. Let's take a second here and talk about how we can compete with that, because that's something that is complex and difficult to address. But if we think about the affordability part of it, if you remember when I talked about DSOs and retail dentistry, I talked a lot about price. And when you think about it, what do people buy? Do they buy total price or do they buy monthly payments? And I would propose to you that monthly payments are more significant than total price. I don't think you have to lower your fees at all. I think you should charge exactly what you're worth. But I do think you need to address the affordability issue, the monthly payments. I do believe that the days of half down or a third down, requiring $1,500 or $2,000 in order to get started with treatment, are throttling the growth of your practice. I think those days are gone. You can compete on affordability, but you have to address the monthly payments. So what's the sweet spot monthly payments? Typically, it's going to be in around the $200 range. The competition that we have is fierce. You know, I was just online recently and I looked up the Smile Direct Club. You're familiar with that. That's the do-it-yourself orthodontics where they send you aligners. These are a pretty sophisticated operation where patients can directly go online and make an appointment, get their teeth scanned or take their own impressions, send them, and basically cut out the orthodontist from the entire process, other than what they say is, you know, some orthodontist or dentist has to approve the case to make sure you're qualified. But that's what's going on now. And when I looked up the fees, it was $1,700, $250 down, and $99 a month. And almost anybody could afford those types of payments. And I'm not saying that you need to be in that range, but I do believe you need to have your monthly payments in the $200 range now. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, because I've been there with you, I know what you're thinking at least. You're thinking, how could I do that? I'm going to finish my treatment and they're going to still owe me money and I'm not going to get paid. Well, I understand that. And when I practiced, I worried about that. And we used to flag patients that we were at the end of treatment for and still had a balance. And we were worried about debonding those patients because we were fearful that we would get beat. Well, I can tell you that statistically, and we have data from the practices that we manage, but there's also articles written and statistics on the delinquency rate in orthodontics, and it's low, really low, 3%. So at a 3% delinquency rate, that means 97% of your patients are going to pay you, even if you've finished the active portion of treatment. And I think the goal is to get treatment done as quickly as possible and not be concerned that the payments are going to stop just because they reached the end of the active portion of treatment. They're still in retention, you're still following them along, you're still their orthodontist. And as I said, 3% is a low number. If you were in Las Vegas and you were at the roulette wheel and you were spinning that little ball on the roulette wheel, and I were to tell you that 97% of the time you're going to win, well, you'd be there all day and night. You know, why wouldn't you? And that's what you need to do. You need to start these cases. And if you need to extend out 6 months or even 9 months or even a year, I would say you're better off doing that statistically than than having a high initial payment or a high monthly payment and making it unaffordable for patients to come in. But let's move on. Let's talk about Michael. What's important to Michael? As an adult patient, he will certainly listen to a GP referral, but he's also influenced by Google search and, again, affordability and convenience. Again, affordability, reasonably low monthly payments, convenience, shorter treatment time. This is how you compete with price and convenience from DSOs, affordability and speed. Let's talk about the millennials. So Autumn's 25 years old. She's a young professional. She wants her teeth straight. What's important to millennials? Well, I can tell you, number one, that millennials consist of 91% of the 91% of the millennials would be willing to change their brand and change their the companies that they support based on the fact that they're socially conscious or they have many reviews. Authenticity and social proof are highlights for millennials. It's extremely important to them. Incidentally, millennials live on their cell phones. So you have to be very cognizant of the fact that anything that you do in social media has to be mobile friendly. Desktops and laptops are on the decline in terms of sales, and cell phones are the way of the future. So make sure that your website is mobile friendly. That's critical. What about teenagers? Here's Jeff. Now, Jeff doesn't care about affordability and convenience, but he does care about what his friends say. He does care about what the office vibe is, whether it's techie, whether it's fun, and he certainly cares about speed. And again, he's doing his research at the high school, at the junior high school, so what other people are saying are critical for him. So what does this mean? Sorry. All of these audiences, all four of these groups fall into one of these categories. Jennifer, Michael, Autumn, Jeff, they're all either existing patients, friends of a patient, or they're totally unconnected to your practice, meaning they're prospective patients that live in your area. They'd make good patients, but they don't even know that you exist at all. At People in Practice, we believe that there are many touch points that go into a good social marketing strategy. And we need to cover all of these touch points because they're all important to your new patients. So here are all the opportunities to reach all three of the audiences we just talked about. Notice that some of them are digital and some of them aren't, but they're all extremely relevant. And I think what's critical here is that there's an interconnection between these, meaning digital or not, there's an interplay between these touch points. And you almost always need more than one over a period of time before a new patient makes the call. So it's rarely a linear process. It's rarely that, okay, dentist referred me and then I call. Or I saw a social ad on Facebook and then I make the call. It's that they enter at one touch point and then they go to a few others before ultimately making the final call. So we have to pay attention to all of those things. For example, the point of entry into the web of touch points would be different, oftentimes different depending on the group. So while Jenny, for example, might ask for a recommendation from friends on Facebook, Autumn goes straight to Google or Yelp to see who's got the best rating in her neighborhood. Michael, the adult, might ask the GP, then go on Google. Incidentally, the GP most often will provide 3 cards. Don't you love that? That's a relatively new phenomenon. I don't even call that a referral. They'll just give you three cards to hand out. But what Michael do is he'll take the 3 cards and he'll do a little research on those cards. Incidentally, Autumn, the millennial, relies so heavily on reviews that it's rare that she'll even go get a cup of coffee without checking online to see what the review looks like. So what does this boil down to? Well, it boils down to the essential components of your marketing mix. And here's the good news. The good news that it's fairly straightforward to cover all of these touch points, and it's cheaper than traditional advertising. So let's take a look at these, because again, the goal is to get the right people, not just anybody. We want them educated before they make the call. We want them knowing about our practice. We want our current patients to recommend us, and we want to establish strong brand equity. Number 1, public reviews. I can't say enough about how important public reviews are. They're the foundation of any social media marketing. You can't do anything unless you start getting reviews. And you can see the reviews reach the yellow zone and the green zone. They're extremely critical and important. So in our opinion, you need dozens of 5-star reviews to support your reputation. Think about it. It really does take years to build your reputation. And it takes a minute for somebody to just trash it. You need to protect it. It's almost like having malpractice insurance. This is insurance against somebody trashing your reputation, and that's getting a lot of reviews. Public reviews, not reviews on your website, public reviews. Now, how do you get public reviews? You ask for them. Now, for me, I found that a little bit challenging. I was oftentimes embarrassed to ask patients for reviews. I felt funny about it. I felt almost like I was begging them for something. So I developed a system, an iPad system. So people in practice, we have this is kind of a little commercial for people in practice, but I'll throw it in there. We have an iPad system where we collect private feedback. And again, it's feedback. We just have the staff pass the iPad around and ask for feedback. And the feedback goes directly to people in practice. It doesn't go anywhere else. It stays in-house. And we look it over. We catch the people that are not happy about something, and we call you, and we get that resolved before they have an opportunity to go public and leave some damaging public reviews. But in addition to that, we take the people that love you, which are going to be 99% of the people that leave you feedback, and we follow up with them. And we guide them through the process of leaving you a 5-star review on one of the public sites. Google is the most important. But if you get negative reviews somewhere, we'll want to bury those negative reviews with positive reviews. So the review strategy is extremely important. And this is an app that we also place. Let's get my cursor on. That shows new patients what our current patients are saying about them. And this is important because, again, public reviews, and these are private reviews, but we want new patients coming to us and feeling supported with quote-unquote social proof. Other patients saying good things about us. So a patient doing a Google search for Marone and Kay, for example, one of our clients, thank you, Dr. Kay, for allowing us to show some of your slides, is going to see that they have 60 Google reviews, 5-star Google reviews. They also have comments. Google provides some of the reviews so people could read them. You can see some of the other ratings on Facebook and Yelp as well. So this just reinforces the new patient. But you see the gold stars right here? You need those. It helps differentiate your practice in a Google search. And you get those by getting a lot of reviews. This is what it looks like. So you want to bury your competition with positive reviews for your own practice. So the reviews are critical. That's one step. Educational advertising or Facebook advertising is also critical. This gets you into the green zone. This is where the opportunities are. These are the unconnected prospective patients. You got to get into this zone. So how do you do that? Well, educational advertising, Facebook ads. So our strategy is to send qualified patients to your website to read informative articles. So how do we do that? Essentially, we're creating warm leads. So we're creating useful content, and then we're showing it to prospective targeted new patients that meet our criteria. We'll talk about that in a second. And we're delivering them directly to your website to get the information they need. This is what an educational ad would look like. So it would have a graphic and an advertisement that would be made that would ask patients, in this case, if you have teeth that are crooked and you want to get them straight in a short amount of time, click here. And you can see the Learn More button on the bottom. And this would show up to our targeted group. And with Facebook, we're able to target specific groups in our geographic area that meet certain criteria, such as family income, health orientation, age, moms with children. We're really able to drill down deeply into what our target is and create an advertisement that goes only to those people right on their Facebook timeline. And when they click it, they go directly to the content that they're looking for, which is going to be on the website of our client. And you can see this is an opportunity to highlight the fact that you are experts in Invisalign. That Excelident will make your treatment time go much, much quicker. And doing an educational ad is, and this was a learning experience for me, it requires a significant amount of expertise. So what we do is we have a Facebook department, advertising department, and in that we develop a series of advertisements. And each of them are a little different. They might have a different photo, the wording might be different, and we A/B test these, meaning that we run them and we see which versions get the most clicks and the most traction. And then we shut down the ones that aren't performing well, and we run with the ones that are the one that is performing the best. And this is a way that we reduce the Facebook budget costs, making it much more economical and much more effective, I believe, than anything with Google or Google Ads. With Google Ads, basically you're putting something up and hoping somebody goes there and clicks on you. But with Facebook educational advertising, we're laser focusing on only those prospective clients that meet our criteria. So they're our ideal future patients. And that way we're not wasting advertising dollars where they don't belong. So for example, with that particular ad, we targeted a 15-mile radius between the two offices, between adults that range between 25 and 55 that are interested in health. We also have the ability to exclude people that are already included, already attached to us or connected to us. So basically what we're doing here is we're getting into the yellow zone and the green zone. And we're putting out our message for brand awareness to a lot of people in our community. So in this particular instance, almost 42,000 people saw the advertisement on their Facebook page, right in the center on their timeline. And more importantly, 2,700 clicked on the website. That's 2,700 people that were delivered not to the Facebook page, but to the website of our orthodontic client. We call that a warm lead. These are people that are interested in orthodontics, they're interested in Excellident, they want it done quickly, and they're placed not on your Facebook page, but right onto your website, where they can get the information about how this can happen. And while they're there, typically they'll start clicking around, learning more about you. But that's not all. They'll oftentimes go and then they'll do a Google search, or they may go on your social media. But the point is, we get them to your practice, and that's our goal in Facebook advertising. Social media, third component. You need to have this. That's obvious. Most of you have this. At least you have the Facebook activity on it. But that's just the bare minimum. And I think that's where you fall short. The good news is that your staff is in the best position to do this most effectively. So whereas referring out for getting public reviews or Facebook advertising or engagement, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think might be prudent for you to do, to let experts handle it. Posting locally on your Facebook page, I think, is best done by your staff, and your staff working with a company that can help to expand that into the yellow and green zones. So when you're posting locally, you're really in the red zone. You're posting to your patients. We want to encourage and develop opportunities to expand upon that. We'll talk about that in a second when we talk about engagement. But let me just give you one little quick tip on the social media side. At the D-bands, when everybody's celebrating and everybody's happy and everybody's taking photos, don't just take a photo of a patient getting their after they've gotten their braces off and post it on your Facebook page. I mean, that's a good thing to do, but it's certainly limiting from a marketing standpoint because it's just in the red zone. More importantly, have the patient take the photo of the doc with the patient, whether it be a selfie or whatever. Have a photo taken on the patient's cell phone. Let the patient take the photo itself and post it on their Facebook page. What that does is that gets that message out to their Facebook friends into the yellow zone. That's where you want to be, people that are friends of your debonded patient. Also, have them tag your business, your practice. And they do that by just putting the @ sign and typing your business name in. When that's connected to the photo, then it'll show up on your business page on the side where you can click on it and share it on your page as well. So you can get it on your page as well, but more importantly, you take advantage of the yellow zone of your patient advertising for you. And think about the social media sites. These are free. There's no reason that you shouldn't claim them all and brand them all, because they all show up in searches oftentimes, and they're certainly available to patients to click on and they help to build confidence and trust about your practice. So your social media sites basically are, they're secondary websites, free for your practice, where you can post your photos, highlight your staff, show that your practice is the place that people want to be. You know, remember Jennifer's gut feeling? Well, this contributes to it. When she sees a lot of activity on a lot of social media, the more you share, the more trust that you do build. And a prospective new patient that looks at your Facebook page should come away with a feeling that they want to be part of it. And take a look at this. This is, again, Marone and Kay and their Facebook page. So they're running a contest, which also gives part of the prize to a charity. So it shows that they're charitable, they're community-oriented. You see a lot of positive reviews. When we get public reviews through our iPad system, we push them over to the Facebook page, so the reviews show up there too. So you can see patients are happy. They have, 1,000 or more likes, so they have a large following, which builds some credibility. So you see, you get a flavor of this practice before even making the initial phone call. And that's what we want to do. And lastly, engagement. Engagement is critical because it gets you into the yellow and green zone, and also it serves the current patients that you have right now. So what is engagement? Engagement basically is when a patient takes the extra step to either like something that you've posted, comment, or share. It requires that they take an action, but they won't take the action unless you give them a reason to do it. And it's so important for us that they do it, because this is how we reach their friends and expand into their community. So we need strategies to help have patients take that step. So we have to offer up a carrot. We need to offer up some sort of prize. And the best way to do this is with giveaways, sweepstakes, contests. Here's one where a Six Flags giveaway. And the way this works is that we take this particular giveaway, for example, and we start with a simple contest idea. We embed the contest entry page on the Facebook page, which is where people enter. This is how we can help to build some likes, because we encourage people to like our page. Facebook prohibits you from requiring them to like your page, but we could suggest that they like the page, and we build some likes during this process. But it's an incentive for them. And what we do is when they enter the contest, we give them extra chances to win if they do what? Share. So we present them with a little share button where when they click it, this goes out to their friends. This is how we can get into the yellow zone, the friends of patients. And again, we open these contests up to the community, not just our patients. We don't want to preach to the choir here. We want to get out there. We want word out on the street that this is an altruistic practice. This is a practice that's interested in the community. And this is a practice that has fun and provides giveaways. So contest entry page is so important, and we send links out where they can enter on their cell phone as well. But it doesn't go just to anyone. We can target it. And you could see here that we're targeting by location, we're targeting by parents of school-age kids, preteens, teenagers. We're targeting what we want to attract. Let's take it a step further. First of all, look what happens. We get 1,600 people that actually click to enter, and almost 400 of them actually enter. Now, the fact that they are clicking on our entry page and bringing them and creating some awareness of the fact that we are an orthodontic practice in their community is really where the message is. I mean, we're happy to get the 400 entries as well, but we want the exposure out there into the community. Here's another example. This is a give and get. So $1,000 shopping spree and $1,000 to the charity of your choice. We make it simple, make it easy, and we spread it out into the community. And we incentivize sharing. And we can target it to our target audience. And what happens? We get about 2,000 visits. Those are clicks. 1,000 of them entered. We get likes. We get shares. This is how you do it. So, setting up your social media sites are free, and you need to do it because the more fish in the sea, the more likely you're going to be that you'll be caught. We're looking to catch some people, so we want to put a wide net out. So let's review. Number one, don't forget about the general dentists. A comprehensive marketing approach involves both analog and digital, and the general dentists are still an important part of our marketing strategy. We want to involve them in some of our digital activity. We can have their staff enter our contests, things like that, but the orthodontist needs to keep the relationship up, make the phone calls. Sometimes it maybe bagel runs. I mean, these things are, none of us like to do them, but we still need to do them. Public reviews, foundational. Foundational. You need a few dozen 5-star Google reviews, period. Anything else you do without having public reviews is going to get short-circuited and is going to be limited in effectiveness. So building the public reviews are part of the overall strategy, and you need to pay attention to it. Get over it if you're afraid to ask. Have the staff ask. Somebody's got to build those reviews for you. Educating potential patients. Okay, this is part of changing the narrative in the community. Facebook advertising is essential for doing that. Incentivizing your patients to engage and share. Okay, getting into the yellow zone, getting into the green zone. This is done with sweepstakes, with contests. The bigger the prize, the more wow in the community, and the more attention that you get. So, again, we want the right people calling us, not just anyone. We want our patients referring other patients, leaving us reviews, talking about our practice. We want to be worth the difference, and we want to build strong equity in our practice. I left a few minutes for Q&A. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and put them in. I see there are a few that are coming up. I'll try to answer as many as I can. Just to recap, to get some of the notes, just go ahead and text Excellident to 66866. You can contact me directly through either my email at leon@pplpractice.com or our phone number 888-866-DOCS. And let's take the first question. So the first question, if we hire your company, will you work with our competition? That's a great question. And the answer to that is no. We find that to be a conflict of interest. I mean, this is a competition for new patients. So we provide geographic exclusivity. If you want to find out if your practice is available, you could either call us or email me, and I'll certainly check it for you. But yeah, we feel very strongly that we would only want to represent one practice in the community, put all of our energy there. Let's see. Question here. How much does it cost? Okay. Well, I can tell you that the 3 essential services that, well, 4 essential services that we provide, reviews, Facebook advertising, social media, patient engagement. Typically, each one of those there's actually just 3 major ones, are approximately $500 a month each, plus a Facebook budget for Facebook ads and engagement. But that's a ballpark figure. Every practice is a little bit different, and we've customized a plan that makes sense for you. Let's see here. Let's take one more question. How long does it take to see the results? Oh, another great question. And this is one that I talk about all the time with our orthodontists. Number one, this is not a quick fix. Remember, what we're trying to do here is change the narrative of your neighborhood. We want to change the word on the street of your neighborhood as you being, your practice being the place to go, being worth paying the difference. That takes time. That doesn't happen overnight. So we're looking for quality here, not quantity. So I would say probably a year's time would probably be a reasonable time to evaluate the changes that are occurring in your practice, the movement towards more quality patients, to more case acceptance, to better productivity. So I want to take just a minute to thank Excellident for giving me the opportunity and giving me the time to talk about this passionate subject, obviously very passionate about. Again, anybody that has a question that I haven't been able to answer, and I see there's a lot of them just based on time, you can send them to me. I will answer each one of them personally, so you could just email me directly. Anybody interested in utilizing our services, please contact us as well. Be happy to talk about a marketing plan for you. We do that on a complimentary basis. We'll also check geographic exclusivity. So once again, from New York, this is Dr. Klempner with Andy and Tommy looking on, wishing you a very productive year.